I am really happy to also introduce Alistair, who stepped in at the very, very last minute. So thank you again to Alistair. You are an absolute star for coming today. If you don't know Alistair, he runs the graphic design studio wemadethis, specialising in thoughtful, simple and beautiful communication. Alistair studied at Central St Martin's before setting up his studio in 2004, based in Brixton in London. What else have I got to say about Alistair? Sorry, I had to scribble a bit out for various reasons. Alistair is also the chair... Sorry, it'll become clear eventually. Sorry, it was at his request. It wasn't rude. It'll become clear. Sorry, I've just distracted myself now. Sorry. So Alistair is also the chair of the Wynkyn de Worde Society, who are named after the first printer to set up shop in Fleet Street, and was established in 1957, and its members are dedicated to excellence in all aspects of printing and the various stages of its creation, production and dissemination. Alistair has lectured in graphic design at the School of Art, Architecture and Design and Typography at Central St Martin's. He's been writing about design and visual culture at his blog wemadethis for many years, and in September 2020, Batsford published his first book, London Street Signs, which is absolutely brilliant, and I'd encourage you to go and look at that. So without further ado, and less scribbling out, I would like to introduce Alistair Hall to you all. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. Jesus, I've got to follow John and Jamie. That's not good. I need to apologise before I start. I had a couple of beers before I put this slide deck together, and I've used transitions on a couple of them. Anyway, look, you've been warned. So, clients from hell. This is hell. This is a small village about halfway up Norway. And there's a population of hell of about 1,589 people at the last count. And if you want to go to hell and back, there's one direct flight a week from London to nearby Trondheim, and it's just a short taxi ride from there to hell. And this is the road you take, this is the highway to hell. And the temperatures there can reach right down to minus 25 degrees C during winter, so hell really does freeze over. But to be honest, this talk has nothing to do with hell in Norway. It just seemed like a good place to start. So my clients are from quite a different hell, and I'm going to tell you their story. So if you're sitting comfortably, I'll begin. So way back, 2008, the author Dave Eggers was invited to give a TED talk about his 826 project, which began in San Francisco and then spread right across the United States. So if you don't know David Eggers, he's an author, and his books include this best-selling memoir, A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius, a book you shall know of Velocity, and also The Circle. He's super good, and interestingly, he shortly worked as a graphic designer before becoming a full-time author. And there's lots of really nice little niche touches in this book that you can see the hand of a graphic designer at work. He's also the founder of a quarterly literary journal called McSweeney's, which is published 2 or 3 times a year. And you can check them out at mcsweeneys.net, and the writing's really brilliant, really beautiful stuff. So Eggers' mum was a school teacher, and his sister's a teacher too, and so he knows quite a lot of teachers in his local area in San Francisco. And at the time, they were lamenting the fact that they don't get any one-on-one time with their students. You know, they have big class sizes, 30 to 40 kids in a room. You don't have time to sit down one-on-one. And Eggers was like, well, look, I know loads of writers, and they sometimes have a bit of time on their hands. And at the same time as this, he was looking for new offices for McSweeney's. So he said, well, why don't we find some extra space in these new offices, and we'll put the writers together with the kids. The kids can come in, have some proper focused one-on-one attention. So this, obviously is a great idea. So he was looking for some office space. They found this, which is 826 Valencia. So Valencia is the street address. And they signed up for the space, and they got this really beautiful Chris Ware mural that details the history of the written word. You have to stand in the middle of the street to be able to read it, unfortunately. Now, the front space of the building was zoned for retail, so it meant they had to keep it as a shop. And it had previously been a sort of gym, so it had kind of rubber floor matting and, horrible roof tiles. And they took all this out, and in the process of doing so, they discovered lovely wooden floors, a bit like this, and really beautiful wooden beams in the ceiling. And someone said, oh, look, this feels like a bit like we're inside a ship. And then someone else said, oh, well, look, if it's like we're inside a ship, we could sell things for pirates. And they went, yeah, good idea. And then they went, oh, well, actually, okay, let's do that. So they set up the Pirate Supply Store, products for the modern working day buccaneer. And you can buy planks sold by the foot, supplies to combat scurvy, deck brushes, handmade peg legs, eye patches for stepping out in the evening, all manner of stuff if you're a pirate. And this was super successful, and people wanted to create their own versions right across the US. And in each case, the idea is the same, is that you have a fantastical shop front, which fires the imagination of the kids who visit, and then a writing centre hidden behind it. So David Byrne visited and evidently enjoyed it. And this is the writing centre behind. This isn't actually in this one, but in one of the ones in San Francisco. There's a few there now. So behind each shop, you'll find a writing centre, and local kids can come in and they get this focused one-on-one attention. And the focus here is on imagination, confidence, and the power of storytelling in all its various forms. So it's not just about writing essays, it's about creative writing, whether that's songs or films or video games, whatever. So this is one of 3 centres in San Francisco. And then these other centres started to get set up right across America. So this is the Brooklyn Superhero Supply Store. This is in New York, designed by Sam Potts. And in it, they sell all manner of stuff. If you're a superhero, you can go in and get your stuff. You come up these stairs, that's where the shopkeeper goes, and you have to sort of talk up to them and recite your vow of superheroism and say that you're only going to use your powers for good. There's a capery, so you can try on your cape, and they have a wind machine that checks that it flows right. You can buy tins of mussels, tins of antimatter, all manner of good stuff. And each shop then has a secret door that goes through to the writing centre, so that the kids get this sense of that getting special access to somewhere really privileged. This is in LA, this is the Echo Park Time Travel Mart. Whenever you are, we're already then. This is their slushy machine, which is out of order. You have to come back yesterday. So there are 9 of these chapters now across America. And in Dave Eggers' talk, he said, right, I want everyone across America and across the world to set up some more of these places. And I wrote about this on my blog at the time. I write a design blog for wemadethis. And a few people had already been talking about it, and we all kind of came together and started noodling around a bit and pitched a few ideas for a few bits of funding, and nothing really landed. And then Nick Hornby got involved. I'm showing, sorry, Jamie, this isn't your cover for Nick Hornby, it's someone else that are the book designers. And he got involved. He's a mate of Dave Eggers, and suddenly everything snowballed. Money started coming in, and it was like a real thing. So this is what we set up. This is the Ministry of Stories. This is on Hoxton Street in Hackney, just off Hoxton Square. And we do creative writing and mentoring for young people in the local area, aged from sort of 6 to 18. And this is the interior of the centre. It's mainly after school and weekend writing projects. And there's also, we offer school groups that can come in and do stuff. And there's about just under 1,000 kids attend each year. And so it's not about being the best. We're not trying to say, we're going to churn out the very best writers. It's just about helping young people realise their confidence and their creative potential. So we've got this is a lovely word wall. So if you're feeling a bit like you're running out of descriptive words, you can come up and just grab one of the words. Phosphorescent doesn't get used as much as it perhaps should. These are all, we had a lovely set of illustrations done by Heather Sloan that are all around the space. And the centre relies on over 200 trained volunteers and mentors. Here's Nick Hornby doing some reading with the kids. And, like I said, it's about how writing creates confidence and joy. So this is a group from St Michael's Primary School after doing some speech writing work, and they then went and presented their speeches at number 10. And, that's a great feeling. You feel like, oh man, look at my writing, I'm important. In the summer of 2012, 150 8 to 11-year-olds formed their own country and declared independence from the UK. So this is the Children's Republic of Shoreditch. And this was entirely conceived by kids working with designers, educators, architects, web developers, and mentors. And this is the embassy. They had passports, a manifesto, and even a national anthem. So again, they feel this real ownership of their project. And this connects to some of what Dominic was talking about earlier, actually, that sense of that you just take something seriously and make it a real thing. So here we put kids together with professional musicians, and they created an album. So the kids wrote the lyrics, and then the musicians recorded the songs. This was done with Communion Records and Ben Folds, and you can download this on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, and still some of the songs loop up on my Spotify quite regularly. There's a really good one about Cat that I can highly recommend. And then the booklet was designed for the album, features all the lyrics and photos. So again, you're just, as a kid, you're like, oh man, look at this, I'm proper. I feel really good. So that's the writing centre, but we needed to put a shop together, and 826 had already done pirates, superheroes. By the time we got around to this, robots and spies were already taken. And so we needed something that would work for boys and girls, and that had some room for us to create lots of great products. But so finally we settled on the idea of monsters. Yep, that's happening. So these are our clients from hell. So vampires in their many guises. Here's Aro of the Volturi, Louis de Pont de Lac, and of course the Count. And werewolves, both old and young, zombies, reanimated corpses, and their brides, dragons, giant apes, gremlins, monsters of all shapes and sizes. So these are all the customers that we're trying to cater to. So this is the shop that we came up with, Hoxton Street Monster Supplies, bespoke and everyday items for the living, dead, and undead. And we have 7 principles that guide everything we do when we're designing the shop. So firstly, the shop is for monsters, it's not about them. So this is our core principle. And this is just nicked from the ones in America, not that they outlined it quite so specifically. But we think about what real monsters would need. If they were living their daily lives, what would they need? So these are our real customers, and human customers are just tolerated. So it's a normal shop. If you're a monster, you go shopping, you don't think it's anything weird to go and get your stuff. So we don't want it to look weird or spooky. It may be a bit outdated, but that's okay. So it's a witty joke, and it's told with a very straight face. We try not to telegraph the comedy too much. It's like, you look at it. So there's a moment for kids, particularly when they're seeing our products, that they're like, what? Is this real? So the closer we keep it to reality, the funnier it is. And of course, we're the front for writing centre, so we use words and typography with love and care. These are our tools. And the shop is aimed at children and adults alike. We try not to patronise kids just because they're young. We treat them with the same sort of level of respect. And we try to make sure we don't make any landfill. Every product needs to have a real-world purpose, if it can. And we also try to never show pictures of monsters. I say that, we actually have got some pictures of monsters in the shop at the moment, but it's because we've been doing some work with an illustrator, so sometimes I have to go, okay, that's fine, we're going to allow that. So this is the shop on Hoxton Street. We've got 2 shops now, but this is the main one. And this is in Hackney. And again, I wanted it to feel very traditional and to feel like a real thing. I want that moment of uncertainty as you look at it. I'm going to give you a moment to read that. So, writing is really important. Here, so we've got a list of all the products, goes across all the front panels of the shop, and there's an official notice here, a bit like you get when you go into a pub. It says the proprietor is hereby licensed to sell items including, but not limited to, malodorous gases, children's ears, gore, fear, tinder only, pencils and other items as specified in the Monster Retailers Act of 1827, Clause 14, subsection 5, revision B. Here on the opening sign it says, please howl or ring the bell for the Ministry of Stories. So the thing is, the shop's not there just to make money. I mean, it does make some money, not loads of money, but enough. It's really important for what it represents. So it's like you're walking into a story. It's a physical embodiment of imagination and a tangible example of the magic, joy, and wit and downright pleasure that you can get from writing. So being in the shop is to understand the importance of storytelling. We have an invisible cat called Wells. You don't want to stroke him because he might scratch. We have a little speaker hidden underneath the cushion that meows and purrs, and you'll quite often get people in the shop just sort of casually looking around for your cat. We used to be cash only, but recently we've moved to card only, but we still don't accept human sacrifice. So this was the shop when it first opened. It's weird, I was looking at this the other day. It's changed. We've got a lot more products, a lot of different products. For me, with a slightly OCD nature, I really enjoy it when all the products are just stacked really cleanly together, and you're like, oh, look at that. It's really ordered and even. I occasionally do shifts in the shop, and I try and put it all back to look like this. And then they get really annoyed and move it all around again. So we had to create a whole range of products for the shop, and we're doing this on a budget of, I think we had $7,000 to do it when we first started. So it had to be done in a really affordable way, but we tried to be as imaginative as we could. This, I think, is sort of like a key product. Actually, I'm not sure we're stocking this at the moment, but it kind of explains the idea. You come in and you go, oh yeah, I could see that, oh yeah, because Frankenstein, Nick Bolts, yada, yada, yada. And I try and use a lot of the language from existing products on these. And again, it's that thing of trying to make it feel as real as possible. So our first main product was Tinned Fear for the monster who needs a little help scaring people. So this says, it affects a gradual but most certain sensation of the collywobbles, corrects and relieves all symptoms of comfort, confidence and contentment, most useful in countering cases of unbearable smugness, peculiarly unpleasant taste. And for that, I took a lot of the language. We had a whole team of people who worked on these for copy across the whole range. But we took a lot of the language from old pharmaceutical labels. So I got a whole stack of these off eBay and just tried to steal words that sounded effective or interesting. This is the back of it. I think I'm going to say the possible side effects here include euphoria, swiftly followed by despair, more slowly by overwhelming apathy and sudden wind. So each of these tins of fear, obviously for the monster, you're getting a dose of fear that you can give to anyone. For the humans who might also buy it, it comes with a set of sweets in it and then a short story that has been written by the named author. So in this case, it's a story called The Collywobbles, written by Nick Hornby, and this only exists in these tins. You can't read this anywhere else. And I designed it to feel a bit like a pharmaceutical label that sort of folds up into the tin, so it feels kind of appropriate for something pharmacological. So there's a whole range of the fears: collywobbles, escalating panic, heebie-jeebies, mortal terror, and a vague sense of unease. These are written by Joe Dunthorne, David Nichols, Zadie Smith, and Laura Dockrell. And so obviously this was just a lovely dream thing to work on. And when we first started doing these, we just ordered a pallet of tins and then made them up in the back of the ministry, which, for my mind, that's as much fun as you can have during the day. For the volunteers at the ministry, I think they were like, maybe we could get someone else to do this for us. Anyway, we started off, we had the adult, the black tins, and then these are the tins for young adult authors, so Jeremy Strong, Andy Stanton, Meg Rossoff, Owen Colfer, and Charlie Hickson. And when we sourced these sweets originally, you're like, okay, we've got a tin, we want to put some sweets in it, where do we get the sweets? And we found the company, it's called Farrah's, and they do, when you go to National Trust property and you get like a box of fudge, they're the people who supply that. So they started being delivered, and then we were like, oh, well, let's look at what else they've got. Is there anything we could repurpose? So we went through the whole catalogue. It's called lemon cheese. I only ever knew this as lemon curd growing up. Anyway, it's the same stuff. So we were like, okay, how can we repurpose that? So that became thickest human snot. And this then became one of a range of human preserves. Anyway, they're quite delicious, actually. So here is Dave Eggers and Nick Hornby tucking into a jar of snot. And then we went through the rest of their range and we're like, okay, what else can all these things be? And various people made suggestions. So we've got Banshee balls, brain food, O positive and AB negative blood drops, sugar dusted bogies, toasted bone chunks. So it's just spinning existing things and trying to make them into something else. So bar humbugs here, feeling unpleasantly happy, perky and jovial. Just one bar humbug will instantly induce a mood of marvellous misery and melancholy. We're quite big fans of alliteration, as you can probably tell. So if you're a zombie and you've been mashing up on loads of brains and you've got hideous halitosis from that, you can pop a zombie fresh mint and everything's good again. Earwax is a big monster favourite. So our cubed earwax, again, borrowing some of the language from existing products. So our cubed earwax is harvested from unsanitary jug-eared humans fed on a strict diet of tinned fear, highly effective in stimulating the ceruminous gland, which is actually the thing that does create earwax. A true delight at any monster's table, made the traditional way in copper pans over a gas flame. Caution, may contain insects and small hairs, if you are lucky. And that also comes in a bar version. We have dragon treats. And all these are nice, yummy things that you can buy and you happily eat. Werewolf biscuits, these keep your coat supple and glossy. And fang floss, so, we're trying to find existing things and work out how we can repurpose them. Here we've got, this is some, facial glitter that you put on. And we thought, it'd be quite nice if it was fairy dust, but it's for monsters. So let's say that it's made from fairies that have been crushed up, and then you can put that on your face. We also saw some products from other companies. So this jar comes from Suck UK, and I saw this in one of their shops, and it was quite a nice thing. It glows at night so it's got a light-dependent resistor. Once it gets dark enough, it starts to glow. And I thought, who would need light? And I thought, vampires, they're going to get seasonal affective disorder and get really down because they're in their coffins all the time. So this is a nightly dose of daylight. And we sell a bunch of their other products now as well. There's a part of it that I'm more resistant to because I'm a bit like, this is verging towards just being spooky stuff. But you also have to stock a shop with lots of great things. And these are quite nicely designed, so sometimes I let it go. We did a collaboration here with Divine Chocolate and the author Francesca Simon, who was the author of the Horrid Henry books. So this is Milktooth chocolate, which has delicious chunks of delicately roasted milk teeth. And then inside the wrapper is a beginning of a story by Francesca Simon, and then kids were invited to complete the story in whatever way they wanted and send that back in. We also worked with some other people. So this was an architecture practice called Studio Weave, who came to us with an idea for a range of salts made from tears, actually based on a dream that one of them had had. So we were like, that sounds great. So we collaborated with the salt manufacturer Hale and Mon to put this together, and they created a beautiful range of salts for us. And then during the COVID lockdowns, we updated the range to feel more appropriate for the time, but we didn't want it to be too gloomy, so we put in some hope. You can even get a death certificate if you need to prove that you're undead. We'll fill it in and stamp it in the shop. And this is one of our more recent products where I was cajoled into introducing some colour, which I still feel nervous about. But this is a writing pack to write to one of 5 lonely monsters. And each pack has a letter from one of these monsters, and then you get stickers, writing paper, envelopes and stamps, and you write your letter off to them, and about a month later, they write back to you. And we were like, that's really exciting when you're a kid, you're waiting for something in the post, because no one gets post at all anymore anyway. But now you're getting a letter from a monster, and you're every day waiting for it at the front door. So it's super exciting. We had a lovely website put together. I'm sorry, that font didn't load. That's been put together and has a lovely thing. Can you quite read that? So up at the top, it says this page has been automatically translated for humans, and then you can select humans, mummies, vampire bats, werewolves, or zombies. And if you click through the mummies, it all becomes hieroglyphics. For werewolves, it all goes grrr and r. And this is like an automated thing that just happens. Zombies, and then if you click vampire bat, the whole site flips upside down. And then it's really difficult to work out how to click it back to human, which is not a great idea. Anyway. So this is the new shop. This just opened in the summer in Leadenhall Market, which is a really great location. So they filmed the entrance to Diagon Alley in the first Harry Potter movie in literally the next door. So we get all these tour groups that come around with loads of kids being really excited about Harry Potter. And then we go, come and buy stuff. And this is the interior of that. Again, we have no budget for this. It's like just, we had the tables that we had left over from something else. But it had this beautiful wood panelling, so it sort of feels way posher than our regular shop. And I designed some new products for this. So we've got a bandage repair kit for mummies of all kinds. And this was a case of finding a nice product that it looks a bit like a bone and it's really beautiful as a product. So I was just like, we'll find a nice envelope that fits that and chuck a sticker on it. We've got some lovely teas. This is working with a tea company. So we've got Earl Grey tea made from real earls. Being as we're right next to the Harry Potter place, we thought we've got to sell quills, because that's what in the movie he's getting. So here, this quill pen and ink set, which is suitable for writing oaths, spells, incantations, missives, shopping list, apologies, and essays. So we're still going, product development's still ongoing. The next one is a product that a friend of mine came up with, and we're just trying to find a supplier for it. So it's a bottle of Monsters ink, made from the blackest night. So there's lots of stuff that, it's just ongoing. But it's still a real delight to be working for, a bunch of clients from hell. And if you'd like to read more about it, there's this lovely book that's about all the 826 projects and the associated projects around the world. Unnecessarily Beautiful Spaces for Young Minds on Fire. And it's really good. It's a really engaging thing. That's it from me. Apologies for the transition.